You're listening to Eating for Eden, Episode 6.
When it comes to doing something about climate change, your food choices matter. Thanks for tuning in to Eating for Eden, a podcast that takes a food-first approach to climate action. I'm your host, Jessica J. Schroeder, and I am passionate about food that tastes good and does good. I'll guide you with practical tips and help you thoroughly enjoy your food along the way.
Thanks, friends, for taking the time to listen to this episode this week. I just want to preface this week's episode by saying I have been a little sick lately, so my voice may sound a little bit different. No worries at all, but just wanted to let you know. All right, let's dive into it. When it comes to individual actions regarding climate change, each of us can often find ourselves wondering what kind of a dent we can actually make in this massive problem. When choosing to eat this over that, when using reusable produce bags, when bringing a stainless steel straw to a restaurant, we may ask ourselves, does this really make a difference? Do my little actions matter at all? And we probably feel it all the more when our attention is brought to the waste produced by big business, or the lack of action taken by large companies that have more opportunity to make a dent in lessening global emissions. And it's not only big business that can cause discouragement. Looking around at other individuals can make our own actions feel meaningless as well. When you feel like 1 in the 1,000 who is taking the effort to go out of your way for one small action, you can start to wonder why you even bother. What does it matter if I refuse a plastic straw when 90% of the people here are using one? What does it matter if I compost in my backyard when most of my neighbors produce 10 times as much landfill trash as I do? When we come to realize how little others do in comparison to the efforts we attempt to make, it can leave us feeling like there's no point in even trying. But that's simply not true. Please hear this. It's simply not true. There is a point to your actions, and they do make a difference. Why? How? Because the calculus of your impact is not linear. It's not merely a matter of addition and subtraction in some zero-sum game. What you do or fail to do ripples outward into the world in myriad ways, affecting both yourself and others. I want to share with you 3 primary ways that your actions are meaningful beyond their direct carbon offsetting potential, in turn giving your actions exponential potential. In shorthand, these 3 things are consistency, contagiousness, and the ability to compound. Let's explore each one a bit more so you can get a picture for how much your individual actions do matter. First, there's consistency. Your actions are meaningful because it is important to live in line with your values. I cannot understate this. When we live consistent lives, that is, when we walk the talk of what we value most deeply, we are better versions of ourselves. We are whole, integrated. Our lives have greater meaning, clearer purpose. To say it another way, to care about something but fail to live in light of it makes us feel disintegrated, fake, hypocritical. If this were the only reason to take climate action seriously, it alone would be worth it. If you believe in something, your life should reflect that belief in your words and deeds. So refuse the straw. Start composting. Eat less meat. Live consistently and feel a satisfying sense of alignment between your internal and external worlds. Our little actions matter because they enable us to live with consistency, living in line with our values. Second, there's contagiousness. Your actions are meaningful because taking action is contagious. We can't overlook the power of both positive peer pressure and sheer inspiration. How many of us started eating less meat or swapping out dairy or trying to reduce our use of plastic because we first saw a friend or coworker doing so? We witnessed another's choices and beliefs in action, got curious, and decided to try it for ourselves. Don't underestimate the power of little things like bringing your own plate and silverware to your work lunchroom to wash and reuse. Don't overlook the power of ordering oat milk in your latte and talking with your friend about how tasty it is. We all start somewhere, right? If we're ever going to climb out on a limb and try something new, it's often because someone we know has inspired us to take a step away from the habitual and familiar into exploring new territory. Our little actions matter because they get others acting too. They spark curiosity, meaningful conversations, and adventures into trying new things. They are contagious in the best of ways. Third, there's the compounding factor. Your actions are meaningful because taking action in one area tends to lead to taking action in other areas, thus compounding your overall impact. As I've already said, we all start somewhere. Some people are going to care more about one issue than another. One person may love the outdoors and choose to prioritize biking as much as they can rather than driving a car. Others may be particularly passionate about reducing their consumption of new materials, hitting up thrift stores regularly and purchasing things in bulk to save on plastic use. Still others may have an easier time giving up meat entirely and eating more foods with a smaller carbon footprint. The point is, we can't adopt all of these practices at the same time and do them all equally well. It takes time to shift our practices, to learn how to do things differently, and to develop new habits. But it is often the case that once something has become a regular habit for us, we're ready to get started on something else, adding in additional habits. As you figure out where to direct your energy, I advise beginning on the path of least resistance. This could be what is logistically the easiest to implement, or it could be what offers the least resistance personally due to what you care about. As you consider what that might be, consider questions like, what inspires you? What makes you angry? What do you spend lots of time thinking about? What do you most wish was different? Start there. Don't feel badly about not caring as much about one facet as another person does. We're all working together, learning and leading in different ways and helping one another along as we move and grow. In time, we'll each grow in our capacities to take on additional actions as individuals, and our impact will grow as well. Our little actions matter because they grow into bigger actions and lead to other little actions, which also grow, and the positive cycle continues. Now that we've considered the reasons our actions matter, what practical steps might we take to ensure they affect how we're living? Start by asking yourself about consistency. Ask, am I living consistently with what I most deeply value in this area? What could I be doing differently in order to live more consistently or more in alignment with my values? You may even need to start by asking yourself what it is that you value before you can assess if you're living in line with those values. Next, reflect on whose actions were contagious in your life. Who was an inspiration to you? Whose actions made you curious to ask more questions, do more research, and start implementing new actions? What was it about them that made their actions contagious? Then reflect on your own actions. Are there any signs that point to you being an inspiration for others? What kinds of questions do others tend to ask you, or what do you hope others will ask you about? What do you think it could look like to live as an example, perhaps becoming an inspiration for others? Finally, start somewhere and move forward. Choose and act. Pick something to focus on and take steps toward developing healthy habits in that area. Watch and see how these habits impact your life and the lives of those around you. Also notice what additional things you begin paying attention to. What do you think the next area of attention will be for you? Where do you next want to invest more time to make an impact? When you find yourself tending toward apathy or wondering if your efforts make any difference, remember that your actions matter because they mean you are living consistently with your values, because they will inspire and spark curiosity in others, leading to contagious catching on of similar actions, because they will eventually lead into other areas of related, meaningful action, resulting in a compounding impact. We might call our little actions atomic. They start small, but their net effect can be massive. Take heart, dear friends. Your individual actions do matter. So start where you are, do what you can, and build from there.
Thanks for listening to Eating for Eden. If you found this episode informative or inspiring, please consider sharing it with a friend. Climate change is an issue we all need to tackle together, so let's invite others to journey along with us as we continue the conversation and start taking action. Until next week, friends, take care.